Yo, what up, what up? All right, well, didn't play out how I thought it was going to happen. I was definitely wrong. I'll probably title the video something like that, like I was wrong. But yeah, the market likes to humble me whenever I think I know how it's going to play out. And I don't think I said exactly how it was. I don't think I said anything like that. I think I was just looking for 320 to hold for buyer support, and then I was looking for 600s to reject for sellers. So I wasn't saying exactly how I thought it was going to happen, but in my mind, I already kind of was doing the thing where I was like, oh yeah, Asia's going to do this, and London will do this. And then anytime I do that, I may as well just lock out because it's a sign that the market is about to humble me. So yeah, what ended up happening? Yeah, we see low of night overnight, and then just a squeeze into the day. It was a pretty straightforward squeeze. We'll dive into that. The reason why I was looking for 320s to hold, right? What I was talking about over and over. I'm just going to delete this. So yeah, it was a standard deviation from Wednesday. That manipulation is looking good. It was actually the 4 that held. 370, was it 377? That held multiple times, basically the whole way through Asia. And then just, reacted well, a strong bid off of that into London. Then London rejects, and then London takes over from there. So that's what we need to learn. So I was too in love with this level. It lined up with the POC, it lined up with the previous buyer, 320s. I just was really hoping to catch a reversal here. Anytime I fall in love with a level like that, danger zone. I need to remember that for sure. I don't know why. It's the market's way of just being like, you don't know as much as you think. I don't know. So yeah, so 4 standard deviation holds. I didn't take that at all. I was too focused on here. And even more so, I was trying to take trades a couple times to my level, trying to double dip almost. Yeah, it was bad. I almost tilted, gonna be honest. I finished Asia London session down like just over 400. No, just under 400, 397. I remember seeing it because I was like, oh, okay, that's not terrible. But I was pissed because basically, you have that in your mind that you're about to, what's going to happen. You're about to make bank, and it's the opposite. So lesson learned, because after the 4 standard deviation reaction the last time, then we climb into London, ES gives us our new standard deviation roadmap right here. We see manipulation on a key open. Those are the rules, right? SMT, manipulation within SMT on a key open. We take the indice that made the SMT right here, 5-minute low in this case because we're projecting down, right? Because that, I shouldn't have to explain that, but anyways, 5-minute low, 5-minute high. In this case, if it were buys and we're projecting up, obviously, high to low. I don't think I need to explain that, but yeah. And then that gave you 75, 26, 50 as the 4.5 standard deviation for a reversal. I was like the 4.5, talked a lot about it. 75, 25, yeah. I put 75, 25, I refined it even more, so that was even more of a bottom tick. That was like literally the bottom was 74 or 75, 24, 50, so it was 75 cents off of that absolute bottom. So when I mark out these levels, I'm just looking for what do they line up with? Well, just past the 4.5 is the previous value area low of this range. I love that. I love previous ranges and marking them out because the market remembers. So when we get back into previous ranges, the same, buyers and sellers are looking to activate at the same places. Kind of, they're looking back and they're looking where they can defend, kind of, right? And when we go into previous ranges, so obviously when we're in this range, there's so much movement, but once that range is exited, now these levels are very specific. So we can make some quick moves off of those levels. So value area low of this previous range lines up just below the 4.5 standard deviation. And yeah, that's what I marked out right there. 75 to 5. Did I take it? Nope. I was too focused on NQ. I even said here, because NQ was just being so sloppy, and it was just, as it came there, it was almost a nothing burger, and then it just crashed right through, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And I should have known, because now ES is in control. It's about where ES ends up, and NQ is just along for the ride at that point, so I should have known. And I did say it might be wherever it's at when an ES taps 75.25, and then I realized, oh no, ES is controlling the show. It's way stronger, even from a CBD standpoint. At that point, let's go back. CBD, they're polar opposites, literally. I think the numbers were the opposite. So as we're hitting these lows right here, this is overnight when I'm talking about London session, deep into London session, it looks like. As we're hitting these lows, NQ is deep in the red. We're like 4K negative delta. ES, positive delta the whole way, is just climbing. Even when ES makes the actual lows right there, late night London session, CBD, kind of barely blinks almost. There's a little bit, but it took out some guys, but didn't even make a significant lower low, and then definitely didn't make like an actual new low. So that was something right there. That was telling you that this market ES is priming it for a squeeze. Buyers are just accumulating essentially on these dips, and prices not really following through. Sellers are not able to push it through. And NQ, tech bid was just slop. Tech's just got pounded recently. I think it's kind of finishing its run here. So the big thing is there rotation or not into ES and YM? I doubt it. So CBD divergence there for sure. ES, telling this story real quickly, just zoom in here at that low. If you were awake, just, quick move. NQ's just dumping hard, drags ES with it. You see some aggressive sellers attempting in there and then just immediately get dunked on and never revisits really anywhere close. And then buyers just drag it up, and then we have market open and you just see a little bit of a fight, but eventually buyers just win and continue to push it up, even though price is going up as CBD is going down. One of these two are lying. In this scenario, we know, as we've tracked COT data, that institutions are very long. So you'd want to be with institutions. So if they're pushing price up, so how a squeeze is working, right? This is a true squeeze. You can especially see it on NQ. It didn't finish out. Some squeezes turn into crazy like blow off finishes where the other side capitulates. This is just like an intraday squeeze. This is just a lot of sellers that are looking for continuation lower, and they're just getting squeezed out at every turn. So CBD since New York Open, deeply in the negative on NQ, price just rising the whole way. Some seller attempts right here, and then just gets caught essentially. Moves all the way up, up to 600, what I was looking for to cap out at. And then CBD on ES just kind of stays for New York session. Probably if you just track it from New York, it's probably relatively flat. It finishes kind of flat, I guess, but yeah, so kind of a nothing burger on CBD there, and price just pushes up. So the market moves from market orders, and buyers were more aggressive. They're hitting the market buy more often than sellers are hitting market sell. Sellers are just passively trying to sell this stuff, trying to catch tops, but then any attempts they make are just getting pushed out. So that is a true squeeze. But the reason that you don't see any flip in CBD, so you don't eventually see a capitulation and CBD flip to the positives like on NQ, it's probably because these guys knew that, it was just going to reject, that it wasn't going to, go crazy and just sell off like that. Buy all the way into the highs. So, yeah, you didn't really see any flip in CBD there. And yes, every time it kind of got to the highs around 4K positive delta, it kind of sold off a bit. So, just CBD wise. So, yeah, very interesting. But yeah, I was very frustrated with my trading, honestly, with my execution. I went to bed down about $400, just trying to sloppily catch and Qbid that was never there. It was all about ES. So lesson learned there. Always just bag and tag these notes, for next sessions. Always remember, every time I go into a session, things happen. I can always remember, and I've been able to remember more since I've started making these videos. Mistakes that I've made and things that I've kind of been like, all right, I need to remember that for the future. I need to kind of tag that. So, this guy right here, I mentioned this yesterday in the previous video, which was, yesterday. 743 put on QQQ, 1.6 milli. That's quite a lot. 1 day till expiry. That was a very directional bet. Yeah. Could have just looked for an area to be short on NQ, because essentially, you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket, but essentially what he was betting, he took that trade right here, midday yesterday, around 600s. So essentially what he's betting because it's 1 day till expiry and you have to deal with theta decay. So he doesn't want to wait all the way into the end of day today to be right. He wants to be right generally around open. So if for this to pay out well in the money, we need to essentially open New York pretty low, anywhere pretty, decently below these lows, below 500s, I would say, for the theta to work out. So yeah, that was another sign that New York was just going to open likely at the lows. Excuse me, or at least it did on NQ. You want your top tick exit, or exit from today? I don't know if this was news or something. When it happened, I was awake. I think there was something that got tweeted. I don't know, something like that. No, you never know. But yeah, when this did happen, it was some type of manipulation. Create an SMT, lower low there. That was the higher. Oops. Where is it? Oh, was it the same low? Oh, it is the same low. It was just NQ that made a higher low or a lower low kind of into New York session. All right, okay. So can't really say for certain, I guess. But anyways, I always like to map it out because I'm trying to figure out where this move could potentially go to. And that is the lowest manipulation on ES. So it actually ended up being like a perfect, sometimes they work even though if there's no SMT. You just take the kind of the lowest manipulation and then go from there. But yeah, top tick exit right here, 4.5 standard deviation as always, 76.11 there, and then when that hit on ES, NQ was hitting 3,600. So that was your top tick exit on both. Again, I did not take it. I slept in because I needed to catch up on sleep. I was afraid if I come into the session on very low sleep, I could make a bad session worse. And let me see if I can pull it up here. I think I did screenshot it. Because I'm not saying this to brag at all. This is not really like great in any sense, but I did end the day positive. But there's a method to it, and I really want everyone to essentially do the same thing here. I swear I took a screenshot. Yeah, I did. I'll just send that. There we go. Yeah, right there. Okay, so there you can see, end of the day on 3 counts, 170 in the green. I'm not mad about that, right? It's was that 170, 170, 340? Yeah, like over 500. That's great. That's good money. Don't whine about that. That's for sure. That's the power of copy trading. So yeah, I'm not mad about that. When I thought about it, when the fact that I was like kind of deep-ish negative last night, pretty happy with that. Something very important about that I really want to talk about and that I think is very valuable information, and it's not new information in any way, but I just really need to stress it. So old me would not set a daily loss limit. I was convinced that I was good enough that no matter what, I could trade my way out of the hole. Obviously, that's, this is old me, right? Old me was an idiot, naive. And so I convinced myself of that, and I blew so many accounts. And it was some nightmare blows too. We're talking like deep in the green to going on tilt because I made a bad trade, and then I'm only half as much in the green to then I'm negative to then I'm blowing the account kind of thing, right? But even then, sometimes I would do, in not as bad of a fashion. Let's say I'm down like X amount of money, down 700 or something. Well, I can make that back kind of thing. But I'm in a hurry to make it back. That's the issue. I want to make it back in one trade, in the day. So I'm still fully sizing, and in worse scenarios in the past, before I started following my rules consistently, I would size up in order to kind of get out a drawdown. And that would, of course, almost never work. You really got to catch the perfect trade. It was luck, if anything. So now I set a daily loss limit. Every day I set it as the market opens so that I'm just clear-headed. Nothing else is going to factor into me thinking that I don't need to have a daily loss limit that day or that I should make it larger. I always make it 1,000. It's the same amount every time. And why that matters is, or why that's really good is, number one, I'll survive. If I hit that daily loss limit, I'll be okay. Not ideal, but whatever. Number 2, when you don't have a daily loss limit and you are in the hole, and you're sizing still full, you're digging the hole deeper and deeper at the same speed. When you have a daily loss limit and you're in the hole, so I was in the hole last night, $400. It was down 400, 397. When you're down that much, and now you're only thinking, okay, I have $600 left before I hit my daily loss limit, and then I'm locked out, and I still have a full session ahead of me. So you size down, and that's the important thing. If you cannot mentally just force yourself to size down, just do it on your own. Just size down, or like do it in that form. Daily loss limit will force you to size down, because you know that if you keep fully sized, for a little bit I would keep fully sized even with the loss limit. It's just 3 trades you're out almost, basically. So I would size down, and it forces me then to trade with like 1 to 2 micros. And yeah, it's kind of boring, kind of sucks. But the thing is, if you can catch a trade, then you can add to it, right? So if you just, number one, when you're sized that way, if you enter too quickly on something, because again, you're starting to be a little tilty. I was a little tilty last night. I think I took over like 40 trades. I normally take 2 to 3. So really, really bad. But part of it was me doing a lot of scalp trades with 1 to 2 micros. And I don't really like scalping, but I can kind of manage sometimes. Anyways, yeah, so 1 to 2 micros and just inching your way back. And there was a point where I actually was deeper in the hole. I think I was 600 down, 650. And then I was 1 micro. And then I only traded 1 micro. And then I was back to 300. And then I was at 200. And then I was at 150. And then my last trade of the day. So yeah, there's definitely luck involved. Last trade of the day was me seeing ES top out there. And I took a short, just 2 micros again, because I'm not trying to, as I get more room, as I get back to break even, I want to stay close to break even. I don't want to quickly go down to minus 500 again. So I'm not sizing up on anything after that, because I know I'm still not in the best mindset. You're still digging your way out of it. So we hit that level, 4.5, 76.11. Excuse me. And I saw that the market was pretty pumpy most of the day, so I don't know how high it's going to go, but I like that we see a rejection there. If we go into the tape, it was pretty obvious actually. And then I just take essentially, I think it was 2 micros. And then I finish the day a little bit green. I go from down like 150 to up essentially like 160, something like that, 170. So that was it. Yeah, we've top out there. You see a lot of buys at the highs, right? Look at all these big buys at the highs trying to really push it up. Nope. Someone is absorbing, and then sellers take control, and they take control fast. And I just think it's just because the move is done for the day, but we'll see. Yeah, you see right here. Let's pull up our actual values. Look at that right there near the end of the day, 20 minutes before the end of the day. Look at that delta flip, 1.4K to the downside. And then after that, the important thing is, what does price do after that? There was an attempt and then just total fail. And then we just see dumping into close. And then, of course, after hours just continues to dump. So frustrating too, right? Obviously, you're like, why couldn't this happen earlier? And it's purely because of options makers. They do not want to anyone to make too much money off of the really quick premium changes that happen in the last 20 minutes. Like there's traders out there that make a stupid amount of money. Kind of low-key, it's like gambling-ish. There might be a method to their madness, but 0 DT options for like the last 20 minutes of the market. Just because if there's a big swing and you're on 0 DT, so 0 DT if you're at a price point, so it expires essentially at the end of the day, right? So your 20 minutes till close, you have 20 minutes essentially. So at that point, any options contracts that are out of the money, that are far away from where price is, are stupidly cheap, right? Because there's such a low chance of them getting hit. So that if there is something that happens end of day, if you can catch that, you can make an insane return. Like we're talking thousands of percents. But it is risky, right? So you have to, a lot of guys they lose little bits of money every day on this to then cash in a big one, once or twice a month. So there is a method to that, I guess. But anyways, long digression. Yeah, so that was the high day right there. 600s reject. And then, yeah, that was just how I was able to get back to green. Doesn't always happen like that. A lot of times in that scenario, I just have to deal with finishing red, and that's part of the game. If you haven't read The Best Loser Wins, read it. It's literally all about the only thing getting in the way of your trading is the psychology and mentality of that you have to win every day. And if you just learn to take a loss on the chin and walk away and come back the next day, you would be doing like infinitely better, exponentially better. So if then what is what we're going to be doing. You already know. This move is finished on ES, so this could fully come back down here. I don't know. And then we might hold somewhere here. What I'm expecting is one of two things. I'm expecting NQ to hold possibly 300s, although I don't like that we're below 430s. I don't like that we closed down there. Hold possibly below 300s. Low 300s, like 300, 320 again. So look for that area to hold. That's near the golden pocket of this move. Absolute lowest I'd want to see hold for the idea that I'm thinking of is 240. So if we can get down to 240 and we hold 240, that's a great look for a continuation all the way up to 890. This possible scenario, if this happens, so if we hit this in a kill zone, we see buyers come in and defend, and then we actually start pushing, then the squeeze continues, right? Squeeze continues. Oops. And we can start targeting, I would target midnight open from Wednesday, which was 705, which lines up pretty closely here. So you'd look for maybe 725 to reject. And then, yeah, potential end of day move being around 900, topping out there. That is a possibility for sure. So you'd look for rejection either of these two levels at the end of the day tomorrow. If this holds, if these two hold, then the standard deviation roadmap is still valid. And this would kind of make sense in a seller scenario because reject there tomorrow, okay, that caps our end of day around 900. Then we're still holding. We have this TR pocket above. I'd look for that to literally be the high of the week next week around 31K and reject. And then we have our weekly engulfing candle and we can sell like crazy next week. I feel like it's coming. It's just seeing the tape, seeing buyers struggle, seeing sellers come out more and more. It feels like it's coming and just it's lining up with everything. So that is possible. That's one scenario. Other scenario, which I also like, is buyers looking to hold this level. Ultimately, it fails. We come down here to essentially 30. I like this TR pocket at 30.030. Essentially, I'd look for that area to hold. That would be very ideal. Ooh, I love that it lines up with the midpoint of this manipulation from last Thursday. So that is another possible scenario. You look for buyers. It would screw buyers and sellers on both sides, which I always look for. I always look for what is like the least likely scenario. What would they not be expecting? That's why I said I don't like inversions, even on dailies, is because even though ES inverted the daily, what did we do all day? We just pumped, we just squeezed. So it's possible that we still take out these lows now the next day. But yeah, this would screw people on both sides of the aisle. You'd have buyers looking to hold that level, right? They'd be looking to hold low 300s, maybe 240. Ultimately, that fails. They think we're selling off. They get trapped, probably get trapped around there, selling hard, targeting. They'd be targeting these lows right here, right? So they'd be targeting those relative equal lows. That's a lot of retail, a lot of ICT. So they're targeting there. They're trying to sell down there. It doesn't happen. We end up that maybe makes our low of day. Then all I would look for is essentially a mean reversion into the middle of the range, your typical Friday mean reversion. So look for it to essentially target 400s. That's it. I would just target 400s from down there. That'd be a nice trade for sure, right? If you could get that. So that's very possible. Because then again, what would we sellers would be looking for continuation down. But then at the same time, when we start squeezing up and we get into that level, you'd look for buyers to really join and be like, okay, we're going higher. And then I think sellers will just keep it in this region and they'll just keep it muted right here. And then we will essentially have spent this whole week flat, which is also another kind of bearish signal when you have kind of like that, whatever it's called, not a doji, whatever it's called, but it'll be like a flat weekly candle. So that's possible. 2 scenarios that I see for tomorrow. I actually really like that scenario. Why? Because on the options on flow alerts, I didn't see anything that was very directional. Nothing. I saw calls. These 1 day till expiry calls. 755. So that's in the money calls, right? Yeah. So they're not calling for higher. They're calling for something in the money essentially right there. But they came in after hours. So yeah, it is very interesting. I could see both scenarios, really. I could really see us making kind of new highs to end the week, but like not super, super high, and then engulfing them next week, and then just after that, we just sell like crazy. Or I could see us finishing the week just flat from there. So I'll look for that, either or. I feel like, I don't know if I trust 330s, really. I'll look for 240s to hold, or I'll look for 30.040 to hold. The seller case is essentially you just don't want to see 600 get reclaimed. You'd want to see a quick test above, maybe 620, 640, and you'd want to see an absolute fail down. Sell down to those POCs. But again, I just, nothing in the tape. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. I do think sellers will get their meat on the bone down here. I could really see that happening, and then we just finish in the middle of the range. That makes the most sense for it being a Friday. Also because tomorrow's NFP, and usually on these big data days, there's so much options premium lined up on 0DT on 1 day till expiry. There's so much money betting on the outcome of the day, essentially, that market makers love to just suppress it. They love to just have nothing happen. Doesn't go lower, doesn't go higher. Screws the most amount of people. The people that make all the money are the smart ones that are selling calls or selling puts. So yeah, we'll see. We will see for tomorrow. I can see that. I'll mark it out right here. Look for potential low day there. Or potential low a day 240s. Oops. Yeah. Really messy. Could go up or down, eh? Down from 600, 620s, 645-ish. Up from 30.040. I would definitely, if we get down there, if we get to this TR pocket, I would buy it. I would really look for that to hold. I don't think we're going to go below there tomorrow. Next week, sure. Tomorrow, I just don't see it. Anyways, I'll stop rambling. We're almost at half an hour. I think that's everything. Good luck tomorrow. Be careful. Trade safe. NFP. Usually a lot of traders get diced, so only trade outside of the value area. You want to trade outside in tomorrow. That's the name of the game for big data days. All right, take care. Bye.